Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Nguyen, and the Insider crew.
Welcome everyone to episode 181, and for those of you that are watching us on YouTube and might notice our bloodshot eyes, or we may look a little bit in need of rest, is because we just came back from Monterey Car Week, and whew, it was a lot.
It seemed much longer than the 5 or 6 days we were there.
It was pretty intense. It was incredible, and we hope to share with you today a little bit about what went on. But before we get into that, I want to make sure we thank our presenting sponsor, Pirelli. Pirelli tires have to achieve the highest levels of performance, safety, noiselessness, and grip on the road surface. Innovative tires that can satisfy even the most specific mobility needs for the end consumer. And thank you all for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and own a Porsche, what are you waiting for? Grab that VIN and make yourself a PCA member by going to PCA.org. And for those of you that are looking for your special Porsche, we have the test drive program. And again, you can sign up for that program at PCA.org and unlock some resources so that you can find that special car for your driveway or garage. And with that, let's talk about our adventures during Monterey Car Week. I have Manny Albin to my right and Damon at the controls. Where do we want to start?
I guess, so we get in on Tuesday, go down, check in. Everything was pretty late by the time we got to the hotel. So Wednesday morning, we wake up bright and early to hit the auction previews.
Yep.
And thanks to Ilko, we were able to get access to Gooding, which is
Gooding's Christie.
Gooding's Christie. That does not flow off
the
tongue very easily. I want to say Gooding and Company all the time.
Yeah.
And that's located at Pebble Beach. And for those who've never been there, usually you do everything not to get near Pebble Beach because of the traffic. You have to go through 17-mile drive to get up there. Then you got to find a place to park. But on Wednesday, it was relatively easy to get up there. It wasn't too hard to find parking. And luckily, there wasn't a whole ton of people. There was people, but not a whole lot in the preview tent. And they had some very cool cars, including quite a few Porsches.
Yeah, certainly a good number of Porsches. And, you know, we're around Porsches a lot. I also really do appreciate being able to see the other makes that are there, because there are some cars that you only see in photos or online, and here they are in person, like the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis and some of the brands I've never even heard of. It's from an era that I'm very unfamiliar with.
I think for the overall week, what I noticed was I haven't kept track of a lot of these supercars and the different names and models that they are. And I forget about Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Even to a certain degrry, Ferrari, too.
What the different numbers mean. And,
yeah, it's like Lamborghini. Then you get into the ones...
a Koenigsegg.
A Koenigsegg. I know the Koenigsegg brand, but the actual cars, unless it's ones that I've raced on a video game, that I'm like, oh, I remember hearing about that car. But just looking at it and being able to tell what it is,
yeah.
Nope.
So do we want to start off cars that impressed you or your favorites at Gooding?
So Gooding... when you walk in, you're overwhelmed because, like you said, there's a lot of cool other brand cars as well as Porsches. But even the Porsches, you don't know which one to go look at first, because the Gooding tent by itself could be a car show. Mm. You take all the cars, you spread them out on a parking lot or a golf course. They could have their own car show with all the cool stuff they had. I was really drawn to the Coca-Cola RSR. I think it was a 2017 that Nick Tandy drove, just because the fact that you can buy this factory-supported race car for yourself.
And this is the one where I think on our video, or the video that will be released at some point, the placement of the engine of this car is rather unique. Yes,
it's the mid-engine. Of course, they didn't advertise that very highly. All the Cayman owners pointed that out very quickly when the car came out, that it should have been the Cayman, not a 911, even though it was a 911 body. They realized because of the rules and whatnot and tried to be competitive, they moved it to the middle. which turned out to be a good decision. The car was a competitive car, and but you looked at it, you had no idea it was mid-engine. So you looked inside and saw how close the firewall was to the driver.
Exactly. Kudos to the curators. I mean, you have everything from race cars to 100% original cars to you had roofs, you had singers, you had what was it, the car that had Sears all over it? That was a pretty interesting car, and white walls.
Yeah, that was I believe owned by Jeff Schwartz at one time. It was a East African safari car. So they entered 5 cars in that rally. 2 of them were support vehicles, because the support vehicles have to be entered in as official entries. And then you had 3 Carrera RSs, 73 Carrera RSs that were set up for rallying. So they were lifted. They had all the special tools and equipment to do that kind of rally, which I think was 4,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane.
Wow.
And so this is one of the cars that competed, and I believe it competed on promoting Sears radial tires.
So the car that I'd like to talk about is for you listeners, because my jaw dropped, and when I first mentioned it to Manny as we were walking around at Gooding Christie's, he couldn't believe what I.
And I walked right by it. I didn't. That's
so. Let me just lay it out here. So okay, there's from a distance you see what looks to be a green. Turns out it's an oak green 993 C4S. Looks immaculate. But it's a 993 C4S. As you get closer, you realize it's 27,000 miles. It's one of I think 290 something. Let's say one of 300. Okay, a good looking. I'll reiterate: 993 C4S, 27,000 miles or so. And I mentioned to Manny, what do you think the going rate for that car is? And we're around this a lot, but it still managed to shock me. And I'll tell you the price that they were estimating first, because that's going to shock you. I'll pause here for just 1 or 2 seconds to tell me what you think. Tell me what you think that car is going for, or was it estimated to go for. What it was estimated to go for was around 300 to 350.
I thought 120.
Yeah, you said 120. I'm like, yeah, no. I was like, keep going. So it was estimated at 300 to 350. I know all you that are listening right now, your jaws are dropping. Yes, a 993 C4S for 300,000. Okay, perhaps the auction company is a bit generous with this estimate. No, because the hammer came down on that car. 395. Are you kidding me? 395 for a 993 C4S. How many of us know a 993? I'm thinking of someone here locally that has a black 993 C4S. Do they realize? I mean, of course, there's options, there's colors and certain stories, but I didn't see anything particularly.
I thought that was Turbo S, 993 Turbo S territory.
Exactly.
And even the non-turbo models, you have the C2S.
Yep.
Which was always the GOAT, for
Sure.
that 993 era, was to get the rear-wheel drive only. And so the compromise, because it's not as expensive, was the 4-wheel drive version. But to see the 4-wheel drive for that much,
I don't know, man. This is crazy times.
I would love to hear the story. Was it 2 people that really wanted it?
Is that the one on the screen right now?
That's it. Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
With all the cars there, it would be very easy to walk right by it, because it looks like
it's a beautiful car.
Nice
Good
colored
example.
993. But I mean, there was some blue chip stuff in that tent.
Yeah. So for those of you that have these, it doesn't mean your car is worth necessarily that much, but it just kind of opens your eyes, and you might want to do a little bit of research, and you might also want to call your favorite classic car insurance company and update your policy, because wow, I could not believe how much that car came for or went for. So Damon, did you were busy filming us. I don't know if you got much time to enjoy the cars.
Yeah, so when I was thinking this morning before recording the podcast which one was my favorite, I saw all of those cars as props in a video. So
I know it's tough.
I wasn't really thinking about what my favorite was. And I can't even remember at Gooding and Christie's exactly what. I'll have to go rewatch the video to remind myself what we saw.
Oh, and that's a good point. That's a good point. So we are there with a purpose to, is it wonderful that we get access to all of this? Absolutely. But we are very much there with the purpose of trying to capture as much content as we can so that we can deliver it to you all, our listeners and our viewers. And a lot of times, we do it, but then we don't even remember what we covered, and we will watch the video again later to really let it all sink in.
So one of the ones I was looking for my phone of interesting cars was, and I don't think I bet you Bogdan didn't take a picture of this car, was the G body was an '86 turbo Targa that went through Sonderwunsch
No, at Gooding?
at the Gooding tent. Yep.
I don't know that we.
Yeah. See.
You
would walk right by.
We did. I remember.
It looked like a turbo look car because
yes.
turbo Targas are pretty rare.
Right.
And finding one that was Sonderwunsch was even more special.
I forgot we were debating about something about whether or not it was factory or would it have been done through Sonderwunsch.
Yeah, but you looked at the all these cars have a QR code. And so you have to open up the web page to read about it, and that's when we saw that it was Sonderwunsch. But that was one I walked by 2 or 3 times without a second look, and then nearing the end when we were about to leave, and you start looking at the cars that you haven't looked at. That's when we came upon this. I came upon this, and I thought, wow, that's a rare find by itself, and then add Sonderwunsch, it makes it super rare.
Yep. And then from there. We packed everything up and we headed downtown Monterey and went to the RM Sotheby's. And the layout there was interesting because they have some cars, I would say the Halo cars, were inside, which was like the roof, the red roof and the RSK and all the other makes that are sort of the crown jewels of the collection that was going to be auctioned. And it was funny because Ilko was like, oh, the more pedestrian cars are out on the patio, so to speak. And we walked out there and
I'm expecting to see 944s, 914s, maybe.
The cars out there were pretty spectacular as well. Any favorites for you there, Manny?
There was quite a few. There was the ones we featured, I think, in our video, the 74 Targa European that had the 2.7. It wasn't modified. It came like that, but it was one of the best kept secrets for the longest time. It would be a 74 Carrera, which in the U.S. used a regular 2.7 CIS injected engine. In Europe, they used a 2.7 MFI that came from the Carrera RS in 73. So you're getting a hot rodded engine in the new G body Targa. So that plus added to the green was a standout with that interior.
Yeah,
it was. I don't think they're best kept secrets anymore, but that was pretty cool. You had the F1, the tag Heuer.
Can't miss that car. That was
engine car that had literally an F1 engine. As I point out to you, I realized I'm like, this is probably a unusual sight that you have a water cooled G body 911.
Right, and the color, the mint color, the gold roof. I think they're roof wheels, and it was basically a recent build, brand new car, but with a 6-cylinder.
And take an 88 body,
V6.
I think.
V6, yeah, it's a V6 F1 engine.
1.5, I think, liter.
Yeah,
something like that.
A screamer.
Yeah,
well, we didn't get to hear it. That would have been kind of cool.
No, that's the car I would love to drive just to see what it feels like. But I think that went over $1 million. They also had inside. This is all the outside stuff. So that thing rate going. They had 911R, the original. This was a '68 911R. That was also on the outside.
Yeah, that was parked outside. I would like, when would an R not make it on?
When Elko said it was more pedestrian cars, that we were shocked to see all these. Once again, just the cars that RM had would be a car show that would just blow you away, and these were up for auction. So you get kind of like you don't know what to look at first because you're overwhelmed seeing all these F40s, these GTOs. Maseratis, they had a McLaren F1, the street car, it was, but inside they had the 718 RS Spider, the Redbird, which is one of the yellow birds, the only one painted in this red color, dark red color, that was there. That was, I think, estimated 5 or 6 million. They had I believe, a Courier GT, a Singer. It was quite a lot to choose from.
Yeah, if you go back to the Speedster that you had up there, Damon, that was my favorite car. And to Manny, I don't know what color you see it as, but we did a short on this car about how to identify a real Speedster versus a fake one. But Manny, what color do you see that as?
Cream.
It looks like cream. So it looks like it's got a little bit. It's like a white with a little bit of a green hue to it. Do you see it that way, Damon? Like a green hue?
Yeah, basically, it's like a very, very light green.
Yeah, so that was my favorite. That was a 1957 Speedster. I think it was going around
Sold for $423,000.
Yeah, $423,000. An Italian delivery car, numbers matching. That color is actually called Glacier White. I didn't realize Glacier would have a green tint. I would think Glacier would have a blue tint. But stunning car, inside and out, and yeah, 423. That was my favorite. Then from there, we went back over to near where Werks Reunion is held. We went to Broad Arrow's auction, which is combined later that evening with Motorlux at the Monterey Jet Center. And again, their collection was a car show in itself.
Yeah, by the time we got there, it was fairly well attended. And once again, luckily we looked ahead of time at a lot of these auctions to see what cars were there, so we had a rough idea of what we would be looking for. But seeing them in person is always something different. But once again, Broad Arrow just had an incredible selection of cars.
What I noticed was, you know how people are now talking about how hard it is to get a car allocation, ADMs, and all that kind of stuff. I think these auctions are a great way, because especially at the Broad Arrow, when you first walked in, there was a GT3 Touring there. There was a Turbo there. There were like more
a roof, a Singer.
So I guess what I'm saying is, if you wanted a car tomorrow,
sure,
you could go there and get it and not have to wait about whether or not you're going to get an allocation. Sure, they're not quote unquote brand new, but they all looked brand new and had miles that were pretty much.
Difference is, once again, the Singer, roof, Emery, they will customize it to your personal taste. You lose that, but you gain the fact that you don't have to wait.
Yep.
You have your, as soon as they deliver it to your house, you can start driving it.
Yeah. And no short, I have to say, seeing like the F40s, F50s, the Countach, it's so cool to see all the other brands as well. And they had it all, quote unquote, under one roof at Broad Arrow.
Yeah, and then they would, later that night, they would actually auction off several of these cars while the party was going on.
Yeah. My favorite there was, again, I apologize for picking another 356, but there was a 57 356A Carrera GT lightweight, 1 of 26 with race history, and that's what my car aspires to be. This is a cool looking car.
Yeah, this is one of the rare, what they call GT/GT, and what that meant was that usually you see GSGT, and that means it's a steel body with a 4-cam Carrera engine. When it says GT/GT, it means it has aluminum body parts plus a 4-cam engine. So you are buying this, essentially, you are going to be racing this.
Yeah.
And where a lot of cars, in my Macan has aluminum body panels, but back then, aluminum was like carbon fiber is now.
Wow.
It wasn't on all the cars, so it was something special to get.
And this car was a beautiful example. Oh, it was. I was just drooling over it with lots of awards in its history, and the Stinger exhaust in the back, and so
it
cool.
was. Once again, as you walk into the rooms and you don't know what to look at, and there's so much going on at just this is all the preview stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were interviewing Mikhail Haggerty for a TV show while that's going on, and people are looking at cars. It's
we're running into Michael Allen Roth.
Yeah, it's just that's to me part of the magic of Car Week is not just the cars, but the people and just being the whole atmosphere.
But there is. Can I go a little bit into? There's a potential danger for Monterey Car Week, and what I mean is it's so popular now, and I do love that we talked about this earlier in our meeting, is you're seeing the demographics where the younger crowd is coming out to enjoy Monterey Car Week, and that is positive in itself. However, some of the behaviors that come along with this new breed of folks that are coming out to Car Week, and they have tons of money, they have access to cars, and they can have access to tunes, and the way they're acting out there, and I know the CHP may be seen as a bit difficult, or the local police, but they're like that for a reason, because there's some people that aren't acting appropriately, and I'm worried, much like Cars and Coffees all across the country are facing, where these younger, enthusiastic, or not necessarily younger in age, but younger in mindset to the car world is, can shut something like this down, because people don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, the thing they don't have access to is wide open roads.
Yeah.
It's a lot of traffic in Monterey, and it gets worse. I always joke that it's one of the more pleasant traffic jams because you get to look around and see some special cars, but nonetheless, it's Monterey, I think, is like Los Angeles for those who aren't aware. It's not the distance, but the time and traffic.
Yeah. Yeah. And does it get too big, and does it get too unruly that the locals, government and or the local citizens are just they're going to be tired of it?
Yeah, I guess we since you're on the topic, one of the nights, I think it was Friday night, we went with a bunch of people to go to In-N-Out.
Tried to go to
In-N-Out to get a fourth meal around 10:30, 11 o'clock. And, once again, there's always a lot of traffic, especially on a Friday night during Monterey Car Week. But this time, it seemed something different, because we could see police cars flying through.
At least half a dozen police cars coming up on us.
We figured they were going down the road, but no, they were also going in and out, because one of the 2-lane roads was completely blocked with people in the street.
Yeah, it looked like a takeover. It looked like a takeover, and we saw some social media later on where it was just a ton of people.
I think they were there taking pictures. There was a lot of exotic cars in that parking lot, so I think it was a lot of people there to take pictures of the cars. And I'm sure you have In-N-Out, which is popular. You got customers trying to go in and out for the drive-through, and at some point, like any traffic jam, suddenly they can't move anywhere, and then the road was at least a mile back up.
Yeah.
We saw that we drove on the other side back to our hotel, and so at some point it becomes a hazard, and that's when the police got involved.
Exactly. And you saw some videos where cars were parked, but engines were revving, and the phones and cameras were out, and as a manager of an establishment, they're worried about chaos happening and not being able to manage the crowd, and so the police get called in.
Yeah, and I'm sure that gets written up, and then anyone in the community who doesn't like Car Week uses that as an example of how things have to be reined in.
Yeah. Well, let me do this before we get into Thursday and Friday. Let me again say our appreciation to our latest corporate sponsor, Auto Atlanta. If you're chasing down Porsche parts and it's been impossible to find, maybe you're restoring a 944 Turbo, as Mandy mentioned earlier, looking stuff for your 914 or maybe even for your 911 SC. Either way, Auto Atlanta has you covered. They've been taking care of Porsches, and only Porsches, since 1978. Not only do they have parts for your Porsche, but they can also ship internationally, and they also have a team of experts to help you. So no matter where you are in the world, if you need something, need to find something, need to understand something a little bit better, AutoAtlanta.com. They have specialists ready to help you figure out the complex mechanical repairs to full restorations, regular service, or even detailing your car. By the way, if you're selling, they buy. And if you're buying, they sell. Pre-owned vehicles, they have Porsches that needs a new home and needs a new lease on life. They also will buy your Porsche, of course. And whether you're rebuilding a classic or just needing a particular clip for your car, Auto Atlanta has you covered. Head over to AutoAtlanta.com for your Porsche needs. PCA, the number 5, OFF for your 5% discount off your first order. And again, thank you to Auto Atlanta for supporting PCA Insider. They've been assisting with Porsche parts, Porsche people, Porsche passion since 1978.
When you go to Auto Atlanta website, I think one of the pictures they have is the front of their business, and they have all the 914s and other Porsches that they're selling lined up, reminding me of we went by Doty's, which is his used car place in Monterey, and made famous through Wayne Carini's Chasing Classic Cars, where he would always go pick up a hole in the wall car to take to the Lemons show. Anyways, I'm sure you noticed he brought out every single Porsche he had. He put it on the front row this week for Monterey Car Week. Which
I don't know if it's. I mean, so Doty's son has been doing a lot on social media, and all he seems to be posting on social media is buying Porsches. So I don't know if it's just for Car Week, but they seem to have really zeroed in on the Porsche market, and he's buying. I
saw posts for Katie's, which is a Cars and Coffee in Northern Virginia, that said, somebody wrote on there. They said, "Hey, Instagrammers, photographers, remember there's other cars that begin with a P."
Oh, really?
And he put on Pontiac, Packard, everything. He said, "Not every photograph has to be that of a Porsche."
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah. So. Very interesting. I also came across some short George Hussey, right, as Auto Atlanta, and I think he was working some corporate job, maybe it was Ford or something like that, in the early 80s, and this was like a side gig for him, and he quickly found out there's a lot of need for Porsche parts, and it could be a full-time thing. Long story short, I think a couple years later, he buys his first 911 or something like that.
Didn't Griot's garage start that way too? Remember?
He
exactly. Stuff out of his trunk or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I love these kind of stories, and hopefully we'll have George on the podcast soon, or maybe we'll even go down to Auto Atlanta and do something at their facility.
I would love to see that.
I would love to see that place.
As a 914 owner.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's. Thursday was set up at Werks Reunion, and we're at Monterey Pines Golf Course getting ready to host thousands of people on Friday. Kudos to Melanie and Kristen and the Pravassis and all the volunteers, and of course the staff that came out from PCA HQ to prepare. My biggest thing was, how are we going to handle the crowd? I mean, it's we're a victim of our success, as a lot of times people say, and the best way is to plan for it. And
we don't sell admission, so it's free, so we can guesstimate based on the previous year how many people are coming, but it's still going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
And it's not like it rains in Monterey at that time of year, so it was a little bit of are they going to come back?
Here's the thing. That morning, morning of our event, someone said they had came from somewhere and it was raining like an hour away, but it wasn't raining, not where we were at. And then the thing is, you prepare for all this, and I don't think it's a secret that last year we had, again, the event has grown to be so popular that there was a lot of people last year, and getting out was not as easy as we had hoped. But we listened, and we also worked with Monterey Pines Golf Course and the Navy, and kudos to them because they literally carved out a second exit for us, and they stepped up with law enforcement to help us. We hired more traffic management, worked with the golf course, and
when Bruce says carved out, they created another road. It wasn't asphalt, but it also wasn't what you would think. It wasn't dirt. Mm-hmm. So anyone who left there wasn't complaining that they're scraping or making their car dirty. It almost was like a car enthusiast designed this temporary road.
Perfectly flat. Perfectly flat. You don't have to worry about GT3s or whatever.
And we had police directing. Yeah. So, it was kudos to the golf course.
So last year around 1-2 o'clock, that's when it started to pile up. So I was really sensitive around that time watching it. And cars were moving. Yep. And just like any concert that lets out, it's going to be a little bit of time. It can't be zero time. You just have when you
but
have.
It was always moving.
It was always moving, and then fast forward to the end of our event around 3 o'clock. We look around. There's no more cars. Like the people that are cleaning up are still there, but all of the attendees that wanted to get out, like they were out. They were gone. So again, thank you so much to the Navy, the Monterey Pines Golf Course, Melanie, Tom Pravassi, Sandy Pravassi, and everyone that played a role in making sure that we had a better experience. They certainly did. And I've been monitoring the posts online. I don't see anything about traffic. It was just, what a great time. What a vibe Werks Reunion was. So anyways, I'm jumping ahead because that was Friday.
if we're on Werks Reunion, I'll start showing pictures, but I don't want.
Let's back up because I kind of jumped the gun there. But so Thursday was set up to ensure that we would have the Friday that I just mentioned.
So Thursday morning, or actually Wednesday, we're still trying to line up a podcast guest. And we have some that can't make it, that thought they could, and so on. And one of the people that I was really hoping we would have, I call him the father of Rexy. That was Gunther Jeanette, who owns, who's co-founder of AO Racing. And if you follow any kind of IMSA or WC racing, you know what I'm talking about. Their cars livery is a T-Rex. And they have a pink one called Roxy, and the green one's called Rexy. And it is a hit in any paddock. Of course, the kids absolutely love it. So when he was like, I can't bring the car over, but I would like to come over for the podcast, we were like, awesome. And it was hard to believe with all the setup we had to do on Thursday. And we started early, that we managed to put in a podcast. But kudos to Damon for setting everything up and bringing the equipment.
Yeah.
And at the last second, we couldn't do it indoors.
Well, I was about to say, yeah. He had a little...
So luckily they had a patio there where that was relatively quiet in the sense there wasn't a whole lot of people, but there was cars going back and forth.
Yeah, until that modified long hood unloaded and started to
idle for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So hopefully the audio turned out okay. So here's the thing. I'm going to have to confess here, and Manny knows this. He really wanted Gunner, which I did as well. But then this really shows my lack of knowledge with racing and sports in general. So being a part of an interview for someone or something that I have not a whole lot of knowledge, that was, I wasn't sure how that was.
That's why they write as many questions that were,
Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Manny, for setting me up with questions and, being able to,
but he's also, Gunner's a great storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew it would be a great podcast because he grew up surrounded by Porsches. His father's Kevin Jeanette, and he started Gunner Racing. And he was a crew chief for race teams, the 962, 935s, started his own restoration business, and he restores these same cars. And I interviewed his dad at Werks Reunion, and I just basically, I think I asked him, I spoke like 5 words, and the rest was him telling stories. So Gunner was very similar, different than his dad, but he had some great stories about how he became such a phenom at such a young age.
Yeah.
In racing, and like youngest person to finish Le Mans. That record's been broken, but at the time he was, he held that.
He's done more in his first 20 years of life than I think a lot of people will do their entire life.
Yeah, and he's very, very humble. You would never know he's done all that. But so next week's podcast will be with Gunner, and I think you'll find it very interesting. Even if, like Vu, you're not a big follower of racing, it's more than just about talking about racing. It's how he started the race team, his own personal racing, growing up surrounded by Porsches and Porsche people.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah,
very good podcast.
Yeah, and there's more to tell. Hopefully, we will be able to get him on a podcast again. And there's still a lot. We only had an hour. I think we went a full hour easily. Many more stories for him to share with us. So that was really cool. Rexy ended up over at Pebble on Sunday.
Yes, I think I remember how Pebble has like that, not on the main field, but they had like where the stores are and stuff. I think that's okay. It looked like from the photos that's where it was placed.
Yeah. So, but him going back and forth from the track, and again, we're really appreciative he made the effort to do it.
Yeah, because going anywhere, Monterey Car Week is not easy.
Anything else about Thursday before we go into the show itself on Friday?
Nope, it was. One of these things you want to get a good night's sleep, but it's hard because you're excited about the next morning. And so next morning I think we met at 5:00 or something like that in the morning to stop.
And guess what? We're not the first people there.
No.
We're never the first people there.
And if you're on YouTube, I'm just going to cycle through photos from start to finish.
Yep.
And if you need something, call me up, and I'll try and pull up.
All good. So cars start showing up. We've got 575, almost 600 corral cars, 175 or so judge cars. And let me just reiterate that it's judge cars and not Concours.
Yeah,
There's a difference.
And our judge cars. So then you had classic restoration cars.
Yeah.
You had cars that vendors brought. You had other special cars that we knew were coming that we said, yeah, we'll squeeze you in. So it was, I think, close to 900 cars probably,
Yeah,
not including the parking lot where was its own car show, because I saw many Ferrari, Lamborghini coming in also.
Yeah, let's start with the surprise for our attendees. Some on staff knew about it, but not many. And nowhere else was this unveiled. It was unveiled at Werks Reunion, and it was the 963 RSP just for us.
Yep, the street car of the version of the race car that won Daytona, 24th Daytona. Sebring runs at Le Mans as a gift to Roger Penske. Porsche Classic actually built this car in Atlanta, and hopefully we'll be able to do a podcast telling the whole story because it's really fascinating. But anyways, that car, which I never would have thought it would have come to us, because usually that kind of stuff goes to
Quail.
But it didn't go to the Quail. It came here to Werks Reunion, and we had it for.
It was only supposed to be with us for
they
a
told
couple
us
hours
they
in
said
the
it's only
morning.
going to be there for an hour. Then we have to move it.
I think we had to like 1.
We were like, it is what it is. Hopefully, a lot of people get to see it before it leaves. But yeah, it stayed there almost all day.
Yeah, and there was a crowd around it the whole time.
Exactly.
And the details, when race cars are built, they're not built really for fit and finish as a show car, especially as a street car. So the more you look at it, the more you appreciate what it took for Porsche Classic to make this a streetable car and look presentable, because the gaps have to be worked. The car is painted, not wrapped. On
a race car, that was the whole struggle in itself, was getting it painted.
Yep, exactly. And then as Manny first heard of the 963 RSP, he was like, there's no way there's going to be a passenger seat in that car because there's no room. And he was, as usual, correct. But they had to kind of make enclosures or wrap around all the
There's a whole bunch
and-
of electronics. That's why I knew that there's no way they could put a passenger seat in there. But they covered up with a lot of leather. Yeah, it was, and Roger Penske ends up driving this car later on.
Yeah. And
not at Werks, but on the track.
Yeah. And we bumped into someone else that drove it, right? And was told to like back off while he was on track with it.
Yeah, we ran into Bruce Canepa, and Bruce said that Roger called him up and asked him to take it around the track and give his impression. So it wasn't just a showpiece. It was actually something that they took out on the track.
Yeah.
But for Werks Reunion, it was there, and I got a lot of comments from people I knew that went to the Quail were like, how come we didn't get it?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a good question, but I'm glad we did. And they brought it to the place where the enthusiasts were all gathered, Werks Reunion.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the highlight. But right next to that was a car a lot of people hadn't seen. We saw it a lot during parade. Was the 70th Club Coupe.
Yep, exactly. It was the West Coast debut of the 70th Club Coupe. Was great for us to be able to show it off, but there were a few of the people I've been drawing, or we've been drawing the names for the PCA members that have the opportunity to buy a 70th anniversary Club Coupe, and there was a good number of people that that were selected that were at Werks Reunion. They've signed on, so to speak, to buy this car that they've only seen.
Wow.
They've only seen it, through our promotions and such, and they've never seen it in person. So they got to see it, and of course they absolutely fell in love with it. And the color, the design, all the details. Yeah, it was a hit. We also, between the 70th and the 963 RSP, was another special edition car also brought to us by PAG and Bourse, and we actually had the two people that it was built after, a 50th anniversary edition of the Andile GT3.
Yeah, what was really cool was, so that I think was parked on Thursday. They had already parked it. And when Gunther came in, and he was starting to walk through, and I saw him, so I called him over, and he pointed to that Andile GT3 wrap, and he said, I'm driving the car that's based on at the track today, which was the 935L, it was called. It was the, so basically Andile handmade their own version of the Moby Dick, the famous car that Porsche built for Le Mans. And it was a little bit different, wasn't an exact copy, because, Porsche didn't realize that Andile was building this car to run at Daytona. But it won the 24 Hours at Daytona in 73, 3 or 4, I think. Anyways, he was pretty psyched to see that Porsche had made a streetcar version. This is just the livery. So when you get a GT3, evidently you can get it in the Salzburg colors, which is the red and white from the 917 that won in 1970, or you can get this Andal with the number 3, like the real race car had on it. It was very cool, but that wasn't just what came over. Somebody else came over with it.
Yeah, and we're only 3 cars in. We're only 3 cars in on Friday, and let me just share with you some of the behind the scenes. So with the 963 RSP, there's several communications between Porsche Classic, as well as with us to make sure that we can accommodate for that car. So that's a process in itself. The Club Coupe, which was at Parade, that went back to PEC in Atlanta, and then has to make its way back to the West Coast for this event. That's another string of emails and confirmations and such. And then we get Boris Appenbrink from PAG and PCNA with another string of emails. Hey, would you guys like to have the Andile GT3? And of course, we're always saying yes. Oh, and by the way, would you mind if we brought over Alan Springer and Dieter as well with the car? I was like, of course. And that's another string of, so would you like to have them be interviewed on stage? Of course. And so what I'm getting at is, even though it may look very simple so they brought 3 cars and put them on display, there's a lot of work behind accepting the responsibility to host these cars at our event, because they're not just bringing it for goodwill, so to speak. They're bringing it because they want to make sure there's something done with them and that all the members and attendees can appreciate them. They're parked in the right place. They have all the accoutrements when they're on display. And if we're going to bring Alan and Dieter, are you going to get them on stage? And then who's going to interview them? And what are the questions? Can PR look at the questions before you ask them? And then So that just gives you a little idea of what it takes. And that's just the first 3 cars that we're talking about.
We've gotten pretty good of knowing what Porsche PR doesn't want you asking and what they don't mind. So,
but what an honor it was. So thankfully, again, Manny's noggin has so much motorsports and Porsche history in his head. Like I could never contain that much. So it was nice to have him on stage with Al and Dieter and myself. And I think the PR team was really happy how natural.
We had a big crowd watching the interview.
How natural that conversation went. Of course, someone's going to ask, well, did you record it? Unfortunately, with the environment that we are, having this interview, we could have recorded it, but it would have been terrible, and you would have not been happy with the quality of the recording. So we just, hey, that's one of the benefits of going out to Werks Reunion, and you get to see some of this stuff live. And also it keeps the the people that are being interviewed, they are a bit more open about it because they don't have to worry about it being published and scrutinized and so on and so forth. And so you do get something very special by coming to the event and being there live.
Yeah, it was. I think Owen's daughter was really proud. I said to her, I said, they're rock stars here. But when they were surrounded by fans asking for autographs and photos, and like she said, she goes, they absolutely deserve it. And I agreed. All the work they've done to make Porsche in the United States, and especially with motorsports, so famous. It's great that they're able to enjoy the fruits of their labor.
So we had Alan and Dieter, but there's a third member.
Arnold Wagner.
So Arnold, I don't know, is he still around?
No, he passed away several years ago.
Yeah. But they were 3 individuals that work at Basak Pollock's place and decided to go out on their own.
Yep.
And
they would show how cool they were. They didn't want to interfere with Basak Pollock's business, so they picked a shop that was far enough away where they didn't think they would take any of his customers, and they started Andal, which is an acronym of their names.
Yeah. And on the GT3, they have all 3 of their names and the letters that they
their
took.
first name on one side, with the American flag, and I think then there on the other side, passenger side, it was the German flag with their last names.
Ah, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, but I didn't realize either.
Yeah.
The Alwyn brought me over and showed it to me, and I thought,
He was
very nice touch.
Very proud, and lots of people coming up and thanking him. And I think we said this in the interview, is so many of the motorsports folks that we work with today have some story that ties back.
To
Alwyn.
Gunnar, and you'll hear in Gunnar Jeanette's podcast, he brings up Uncle Alwyn quite a bit.
And when Alwyn comes to visit us here, and we will, Mike Levitas and Turbo Performance Center will be hosting him for an evening. The stories that Mike has told, and Randy Popes has told about, when you worked with Alwyn, like it was about results, and you may have won, but when you came in, it wasn't about celebrating that you won. It was like, what are we doing next to be even better? And with that sort of, mantra, that's why they're enjoying the success that they've had. Yeah. All right. So what else did we have on stage? Again, the debut of the F26 Gunther Werks was over at the Quail. There's a big price tag to be at the Quail, but we had 3 Gunther Werks cars to the right of our stage, and people got to enjoy that. So thank you to Peter Nam and the folks at Gunther Werks for bringing that out. Tanvir, I hope it's okay that I mentioned his name. Tanvir is a member that we met when we were filming the RS collection in Arizona. And we bumped into him again at SEMA, where he has a Carrera GT that was wrapped. And then he had a famous artist, Pinstripe Chris, I think it is.
Yep.
Pinstripe Chris taking artist markers and drawing the design live at SEMA.
Like
and it
2
was
days or 3 days?
2 days, 2 days. It was incredible to watch it live. I remember
So the car is wrapped.
Yes.
So he's not doing it on the paint. He's doing it on a wrap.
He's doing it on the
like
film.
a clear wrap. Yeah.
Exactly. He's doing it on the film. And it was so incredible to watch him do that. And I remember asking Tanvir, because this was before last year's Werks Reunion, if he could somehow bring the car to, last year before Unstock. I said, is there somehow you could bring it to Unstock? And unfortunately, the timing didn't work out, but he remembered that, we were requesting for him to be a part of it all. And surprisingly enough, someone with a Carrera GT he was fairly, so he does stuff locally, but he's never really done things nationally. Intimidated is not the right word, but he really didn't know what to expect by attending a national event. And I really did encourage him when he said he was coming to Monterey Car Week. I said, you've got to come to Werks. You've got to show this off. And he did. And I tell you what, it's really changed his whole outlook on doing a national event, because he has fantastic cars, obviously, but I guess everybody isn't sure whether or not they fit in at an event. And I think everybody just adored and what he did to the car, or had done to the car, might be seen as controversial because you're drawing on a Carrera GT. But again, it's all, you can peel it off and go back to stock if you want. But it was such an incredible reception. People loved it.
Yeah.
And
it turns out we knew each other from the past life, if you will.
Yeah, he said
when I used to club race.
Yeah.
And him and his brother used to club race in 964. So he was bringing up, and my brother also, he said he did driver's ed with. So it was, pretty cool.
Yeah,
that
so
we had met sometime.
Hopefully it's a lasting impression, and he'll bring out some other cars and continue to.
I thought it was funny, the story he told us a couple days later, where he was having the windshield replaced or something put on the windshield.
Oh, yeah.
They put solvent on it, and
yes,
they accidentally wiped off the marker.
So there's a decal, I think, for one of the companies or something like that he was having installed, like a vinyl decal at the top of his windshield, and the person applied it, but then was kind of cleaning up their work and had solvent, and didn't realize, like, when they went over the top of the windscreen, which had the artist marker, it took off some of the marker, because the solvent obviously will just clean right through it. And it's like wiping off parts of a Van Gogh.
Yeah, trying to get the dust off of it.
You're like, what? But thankfully, he hooked up with Pinstripe Chris, and Pinstripe Chris
came over
and touched it up. And if he didn't tell you, you wouldn't have noticed.
After he showed it to us,
you look at it closely, you can
touched
see
up,
because it's newer ink than the other one.
I also like how this was not a trailer queen.
Oh no,
he was driving it back home, and he had his luggage in the passenger seat.
Oh yeah,
I kind of chuckled. I'm like, well, that answers the question. This is not really a couple's getaway car when it comes to luggage.
He was all over Monterey Car Week with it. We last saw him at Laguna, which we'll talk about in a second. But after the Laguna event, he was driving back to Southern California with it. So that's probably easily a 6-7 hour ride in a Carrera GT.
I asked him, I said,
love it.
How hard is it to drive? Because people must get in your blind spot. And he was like, he goes, what scares me is the people that almost crash into him because they're trying to take a picture of it while driving with their phone, and they tend to veer into the car.
Who was it? Was it Tanvir that caused it? Well, let me say this carefully. He didn't cause an accident, but someone got into an accident. Was it his car? I think it was. So the story was, one of the cars that we were looking at was a gorgeous car, and they were somewhere, and somebody was taking a picture of taking a photo of that car and wasn't paying attention to the car in front of them and rear-ended that car. So it wasn't, it wasn't the Porsche driver's fault. It was, the onlookers not paying attention and taking photos with their cameras and not paying attention to traffic and getting into a fender bender. We also had the latest debut from BB. BB brought us the black M491 Targa hybrid last year to Werks Reunion, and this year they came with their latest gold Targa,
which is much like the rainbow Targa. Some people loved, and some people did not love.
Yeah, it's definitely polarizing. I mean, that whole style that it's over the top. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for someone that wants something that is under the radar. This one is in your face, especially this gold.
Oh, it's very BB.
Oh, it's very BB. I mean, that's totally BB style. And the execution, you can say what you want with the colors and the style, but as far as the execution, I mean,
that's what the customer wanted.
Yeah, it was a clean install. Seeing that Ed Pink 4-liter with the velocity stacks with fuel injection, mother of pearl gauge faces, and gold trim rings. I mean, yeah, it's totally BB style, and it's not for everyone, but it's for the person that paid the bill. So
I would say from that point, Werks is like a 3 or 4 ring circus because there's so much going on and on the different fairways. Every fairway I looked at, there was a lot of people. Not so much where you couldn't take pictures of the cars, but like I said, from the corral area all the way across to where the GT cars were, there was something to see for everyone.
How did you like? So we moved the Michelin booth over to closer to the entrance of our event with the GT cars. It seemed to be fully crowded.
Yeah, the GT car was a great idea for them to put the GT cars in that area. Obviously, like you said, when people came in, that's what they saw. And you could see all the GT cars on one fairway. So that was a very nice touch, including the 73 IROC replica cars that multicolored that made a great touch to the whole display.
Yeah, and we had some VIPs come through, and we added to that collection. We had Graham Rahal bring over an ST, and I forget something else. And then also Spike and Zuckerman came by. Unfortunately, they were in another German marked car, so they just parked in the staff parking lot. But they came over and held court in front of the stage for at least an hour or so. They had a good time.
Yeah, it was somebody on the Porsche video said it was the epicenter of the Porsche world for that day, which I have to agree. And I will say, for those who watch the video, I haven't seen a comment yet, but we always get the comment of, how come we don't cover 914s? So I went and around walked, and in the judge area, there was only one 914 that was entered.
Oh,
So unlike other shows, we're not curating these. If you register, your car's in.
yeah.
Only one 914, a beautiful 914 look with the GT package on it, very nicely done. And in the corral, I believe I counted 4 in the corral, which they were actually second row, so they were pretty close to the front. But yeah, that and the 944 guys, you got to bring these cars out.
Yeah. And again, there are so many cars there. And these videos or this video that we do, it's in between all of our other responsibilities. So literally Manny is chasing me down. Dame is chasing me down. It's like, when can you get off stage so that we can go do this, parts of this video? So the 963, if you watch again, you'll notice I'm wearing yellow boots because it was in the morning with the dew on the grass, right? But then towards the end of the video, I'm back into my PCA shoes because we shot that later in the afternoon. So we're actually doing this in segments, and we can't cover it all. We'd love to cover it all.
We all
It's
have
not possible.
other responsibilities or helping out, and I think I was doing something with the umbrellas, and somebody said, "Don't they have somebody else to do that?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "You're looking at somebody else."
Or we're putting tablecloths on.
Or my
the
favorite
tables.
is Damon has to get the generators up and running.
Yeah.
Generator. I failed a generator inspection by the Navy, apparently, so I had to
It's
spend an hour.
you didn't fail because it's not in your wheelhouse. You do it because
I did it the same way as usual, but
yeah,
it needs to be
no,
better for
you-
next year.
You
so.
did it because no one else is doing it, and we thank you for that. But all in all, what a fantastic Friday. Weather was great. Cars were great. The crowd was great. All the exhibitors, all the sponsors, and even the egress at the end of the day worked out fantastic. And if you stayed till the end, I did something differently, and I held all of the raffle prizes at the end. So we had a huge crowd for the award ceremony, and then we gave away a lot of stuff.
Including a set of tires.
Set of tires, cocoa mats.
How many vendors? I think 36 vendors we had.
Yeah.
And they were spread apart. So, if you don't want to look at every vendor booth I seemed to look at was filled with people. So I'm sure the vendors had to be happy because, there wasn't anybody sitting by themselves with no traffic. And because every area of this show seemed to have a lot of people, I didn't hear a whole lot. I didn't hear any complaints where vendors were like, we want to move because we didn't get a lot of traffic.
And I'm going to bring this up. So the 2 issues that we had that day was with another brand car. And I'm not picking on this brand, but it happened to be the same brand, 2 different cars, but the same brand that we had issues with. And it was the off-road Lamborghini that was just decided to park, just decided to park in the middle of the road and left their car. And I'm like, what the heck? And of course, they were like minutes away from being towed, and we were nice about it. We made an announcement and said, "Please."
If I was charged with towing, that would have been towed an hour prior.
Right. And then the second incident was one car decided to drive with its door up, and then as they're leaving the property, just put it on the rev limiter the whole time. It's literally moving 5 miles an hour, and it's sitting on its rev limiter to impress someone.
He was showing everyone his shortcomings.
But it's stuff like that gets us in trouble, and it's not even our brand that's doing it. It's like, come on, guys, really? But anyways, other than that, everybody was fantastic. So thank you so much for all that came out. Can't wait for next year. We had a debrief today, and planning starts literally the very next day.
I think the ladies in the store that sold all the PCA and merchandise. I told them, I said, every time I walked by to see how they were doing, were like 7 or 8 people deep in the registers. By the time around 3:00, when it was slowed down enough that they had a couple of registers open, T-shirts were all gone.
Jackets. Guys were buying women's jackets because the guys ran out, but as long as it fit, they wanted the
It
rock.
was something to do with the zipper or something.
Yeah, women's zipper is on the other side.
Well, yeah, I mean, once you have it on zipped up, it's really hard to tell, though.
Yeah, you can't tell.
Yeah, I can't.
Right, which is why they were like, "Fine, I'll buy."
I had to look at mine. I'm like, I'm not even sure what mine is. I didn't realize there was a
But
difference.
that's how nice the merchandise was, and I could tell we sold out of everything because when we packed up the pod was just equipment. It wasn't really any merchandise.
Yeah, I think they were starting to pack up a little earlier because a lot of stuff was empty. So that and all the volunteers, our office staff, above and beyond, and so I don't know if we mentioned it, but the Navy police figured it was between 13 to 15,000 attendees. So,
yep. There you have it, folks. That was Werks Reunion Monterey, and then of course we cleaned up and had our volunteer dinner, and then went back, cleaned up, and headed over to the barns to see what Porsche was showing there. And interesting enough, they didn't have, much like at the Quail, I think at the Quail they had a GT3 or GT3 RS or something on display. At the barns, it was sort of the normal display of cars. The highlight car at the barns was the 963 RSP, which we had spent all day with. So really, it was just for us an opportunity to rub elbows with some of the executives at Porsche, and as we walked around, it was just lots of accolades and congratulations on how well Werks went. And
I got to say to remind the CEO Timo that not many CEOs of other brands that can claim that a single brand event had so many people during Monterey Car
and
Week.
Timo actually came out to Werks Reunion, and he was dressed in athletic wear, trying to stay under the radar, which is very hard.
What's funny was I was in line, I think at the coffee or something. I turned around, and I wasn't expecting he was going to be there, and it looked like he was wearing a sweatsuit, and a Puma sweatsuit, and I thought to myself, that looks like Timo, but I can't be.
That was Timo.
And then sure enough, I saw him with some other people. I'm like, oh, that is Timo.
Timo. And then
I thought he would have other people who would wait in line for him for coffee.
Timo Resch, CEO of Porsche Cars North
and
America.
Volker.
And Volker, CEO of Porsche Motorsport, was there. So yeah, the who's who was at Werks Reunion. And again, they congratulated us all evening over at the barns. But then we tried to do, as we talked about earlier, try to sneak in a In-N-Out fourth meal. But the police and the crowd,
that was a bummer.
That was a bummer. We didn't get to do that, so we turned in at a reasonable hour. But it was good because we had an early start to Saturday morning, and for me that meant heading over to the show of unloved cars, and that was judging at Concours de Le Mans. And Manny has made this observation over the years. When we first started going there, it was sort of a collection of cars that were well-preserved cars that were well-loved, but they really didn't have a place to go. So you would see like a Cosworth Vega, or you would see a Bandit car, or you would see like those kind of cars. But what Lemons, and the enthusiasm's still there. It's just, it's a little bit different. The cars are more like, what crazy thing can I build and still be able to get it to Monterey? And, you get this car that looks like a snail. You get, I judged the German class, and this guy years ago, it's not like he did it for Lemons, but years ago, you know how you channel a car? Like a hot rod channels a car, like they take a middle section of the car from front to back and make the roof lower. Well, this person, instead of taking the middle section front to back to make the roof lower, he actually channeled front to back the middle section of the car. So it went from a 2-seater wide car to a 1-seater wide car. So this Volkswagen looks like a pencil now.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
Why? Because, and it was a challenge, and he did it, and he won best in class. And I think the car that won the worst car of the event was some UFO looking car. So still very much fun, a little bit different than what it initially started. People were not taking themselves too seriously. In fact, they encourage, what do you call it? Giving judges, stuff, bribes so that they win. So the first one would be like a margarita. I was also offered things that I said no to, and but it was fun. And we you went across the street while I was judging. You went to
I did a walkthrough through Lemons, and the one car I did like that reminded me of how Lemons used to be was this young lady had a Geo Metro convertible.
Perfectly preserved or whatever?
Perfectly preserved.
Yes.
Blue. It was the 3-cylinder model, which was 55 horsepower. And I thought, once again, wow, who keeps a car like this in such mint condition?
Yeah.
And she was quite proud of it.
Yeah.
There was no costume or stuff she stuck on the car to try to get attention. It was just this perfectly preserved Geo Metro that is probably rarer than an F40 if you try to find other Geo Metros
Right.
like that in that condition.
Right.
So that made me smile. I thought, I hope she wins some kind of award because that's the kind that I like to see at Lemon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did go literally across the street, and it's I believe the Seaside Cars and Coffee. It's where the Chili's is, and they had
Peninsula Cars and Coffee.
Oh, Peninsula. That's right. I'm sorry, Peninsula Cars and Coffee, and they had a nice selection of cars that for Cars and Coffee. You think about a Cars and Coffee or Monterey Car Week, and you're like, really? I mean, all these shows that are going on, but there was a decent turnout of Porsches.
Let me remind
at
you,
that show.
Lemons for spectators is free. Peninsula
Yep.
Cars and Coffee
Yep.
also free.
Yes, yeah. Just
There's still
and there's parking alongside streets, so it's not a big deal. You just easily cross the street. You go to Peninsula and get to see some cars, talk to some people.
And later that evening, we went to go try to meet with some sponsors. And I had never been there before, but man, Spanish Bay Inn.
I always
place-
heard Spike Ferris
Ooh.
talk about it on his podcast. And I think I told you, I'm like, this is where they talk about. They hang out at the fire pits in the back. And wow, I have never seen so much wealth in one little concentrated area.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's just start off. There was 2 F40s.
Well, first of all, you got to go into 17 Mile Drive. So for those who've never been there, it's like going into a national park. You have to stop at a booth where a ranger asks, "Why are you here?"
Yeah.
And then you give them your name and whatnot, and they let you through. Otherwise, you pay, I don't know, $10, $15 for a car to get in there to be able to drive 17 Mile Drive. Then you get to the place, and it is packed with people. And I counted 7 or 9 Bugattis.
Koenigsegg.
Yeah, Porsche was like having a Corolla.
Yeah.
That didn't rate. It was a McLaren.
McLarens.
There was 2 Ferrari 288 GTOs, an F50, an F40.
This is where I get lost. I mean,
This is just at the driveway where there
Yeah.
were parking cars that get dropped off. Then there was the other parking lot, self-parking.
Yeah. And what was interesting, we noted how many folks were there doing their selfies and their Instagram, and young folks
Yeah.
rattling off. This is a da 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 da, and
If you want to be anonymous, you do not drop you off.
Yeah.
That couple that got caught cheating,
yeah.
they do not want to go to Spanish Bay because there was like
Another Coldplay incident.
there was like 60 Instagrammers who would definitely have photographed you getting out of the car.
Interesting enough. So I didn't realize you didn't have to valet a car, and I didn't know where to park, so I valeted initially.
I thought myself to the Valley Parkers hate when their turn comes up and they get the Honda minivan.
Well,
they like it
no.
because it's comfortable to get in and out of.
Well, it's probably I mean, we actually switched cars with one of the executive councils when we had the Mazda.
Oh,
CX-5.
that's right. We didn't have the Honda.
We had the Mazda
even
CX-5,
worse.
even worse. And so then when it was time to get the car back, I was like, let me just meet the valet guy like at the beginning of the circle, so he doesn't have to pull all the way in. But yeah, the amount of wealth there in the cars. Again, going up to Spanish Bay and just walking around, free, but you get to see some crazy supercars. So very, very cool.
Great view. I would love to stay there. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon with what it costs to stay there. But it's for those who can, kudos.
Yes, enjoy. And so that wraps up our Saturday, and then into Sunday. Before we grabbed our flight, San Jose that evening, we were invited by Peter Nam and Varun Panjanali to visit Pangilinan to check out the Gunther Werks lineup that was at Laguna Seca. Man, that was a treat.
But they don't race on Sunday. I guess it's called the Motorsport Reunion. So there were still remnants of the event, and people are loading their race cars up and cleaning up and whatnot. But yeah, in the middle of all this is 2 manufacturers who were showing their cars off on the track to their customers and Gunther Werks, and then it was Koenigsegg.
Yes, Koenigsegg. And, for those of you that went to the Quail and got to see the F-26 on stage, that was cool. But we got to see it at Laguna Seca. We got to sit in it, and actually Peter walked through the car front to back with us, and we got really
I guess you got to describe what an F-26 is, because I think of a fighter jet, but this is...
That's what it was inspired from, and there's only 26 examples that will be made. So it's a slant
It's a
nose.
slant nose.
He didn't want to call it a slant nose.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's very cautious in making sure that he doesn't infringe on anything that might be Porsche copyrighted. So it's the F-26.
Yeah, I think it's a... so to me, Gunther Werks and Singer, even though a lot of times people clump them together, they're really two different types of manufacturers.
Yes.
I look at Singer more like retro. They do a great job of like their turbo study. Incredible. So well done. They made it look like a G-body turbo with modern updates. Just chef's kiss to that. Where Gunther Werks goes, I guess, their own way. And they're actually not even reinterpreting. I guess they're doing a redesign, maybe. I don't know what they would prefer calling it, but they're their own man type of thing.
Right. And they're also, I would say they're more heavily performance focused.
Yes.
And that's why they're encouraging their customers to come to the track, experience the cars, and they have to show you how serious they are. They have a very special individual that does all the testing on the cars from day one, and he was there taking people out and about for laps in the turbo tornado 993, and that was Mr. Patrick Long.
Yeah, lucky the potential customers or current customers
Project Tornado
got a ride from Patrick Long, and we were told that they told Patrick to drive 5/10, which I would love to see what his 5/10 is, because I have a feeling it'd be my 12/10.
Yeah, his 5/10 still meant he was catching customer cars within a lap.
Yeah, in fact, we were watching and we were like, wonder what that must be like when Patrick Long comes up behind you. And you're driving a similar car, but you are watching this guy who's driving it much faster.
Now, as impressive as Patrick was, can we just give a shout out and say kudos to the gentleman that was drifting the yellow Carrera GT? Yeah. What? That was insane.
First time I thought,
who's doing that?
He's going to wreck this car.
Yeah.
But then every lap he was doing coming out of the last turn onto the front straight like that.
Sideways.
And then we realized he knows what he's doing. He's full car control on this car.
And it was his car.
Yes.
It was his car. He also had the Ruby Star Gunther Werks car as well.
And a 993 GT2.
GT2.
Yeah. Club Sport.
That's how funny. Like, we walked by the GT2 Club Sport because there were so many other crazy things there. But yeah, he brought out a slew of hardware that was not to be missed. Oof. All right, Koenigsegg. I saw all the Koenigsegg cars. I couldn't tell you what was what. They sounded incredible.
It was cool that I believe it's Christian Koenigsegg.
Yeah, the man himself
Mr.
was there.
Koenigsegg himself was there.
Yeah.
Seemed very approachable. Had lunch with everyone. But those cars sound incredible.
Oh,
Did they say they're Mercedes power?
I don't know.
No, they definitely not. The early ones had, I believe, engines supplied by other people, but Koenigsegg
Builds their own?
engineers and designs everything,
Oh, okay.
including the engines.
Wow.
So
No, you're talking about the other car we saw at Spanish Bay that had the AMG engine in it. I can't remember which one.
Oh, that was well, it wasn't Bugatti. It was
No, it was another hypercar.
Anyways, those cars sounded very good.
Yeah. So that was the wrap up to Sunday. We went back to the airport. We finally did get our in and out. We just went to the in and out by the airport, turned in the rental car, got back on the plane, and that was a wrap.
Took a red eye back.
Yeah.
My favorite quote was from Bogdan, who evidently has never taken a red eye. And he thought it'd be more fun than this. And I was like, what did you expect? There was going to be a club on board?
He thought it was a club experience.
I tried to sleep. I couldn't really, and then I got back, and I'm like, I feel great. And this was Monday, and then, partway through the day, it just hit me.
Yeah, exactly.
I took Tylenol PM, and that helped me sleep a little bit, but it's just, you're never going to get a good sleep on the plane, especially Southwest where you're crammed in, and
Well, we make it work. All right. Let's see. Make sure to head over to PCA.org to sign up for your PCA newsletters, performance news, e-brake news, and fresh news, all free. We have two quick things with regards to Porsche news. First one is GT3 RS facelift.
So the key here is they believe it's turbocharged. They showed a picture of it, and I don't know, Damon has it on there. And they particularly this Auto Evolution. If you want to go to their website, you can look at it yourself, but they focus in on the back part, and there's some extra exhaust that I believe that would be for the wastegate.
Ah.
Right?
Yep.
And they're theorizing that we know it's bound to happen. It's either that or hybrid, right?
Yeah,
and,
exactly. So if this goes to turbo, does that mean like GT2 RS will be hybrid?
I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah.
If by the time this comes out, the Turbo S hasn't been announced yet. That's the theory that you're reading online, is that it's going to be a hybrid. What kind of hybrid or how much power, no one knows yet.
Yeah.
But then the GT2 Turbo S, which is similar, would also probably be hybrid, which would mean the GT3 continues to live
Yeah.
with the turbo.
Yep. All right, and the next one. We talked about the 963, but this was the official press release for it.
Oh, so this is the one
Team
because this Roger actually got to drive it. Mm-hmm. He got to drive it, like we mentioned earlier, at the track. Had we known, we would have invited him to Werks Reunion,
Yeah.
where he could see his car in person. But actually, I think they did a lot of their track work on Thursday.
Yeah.
And what was really interesting, we found out, was they were not allowed to use any kind of current tire, race tire.
Yes.
They had to use several-year-old rain tires.
Yes.
Because anything current would be considered testing, and they're limited by the amount of testing and where they can do it at. So they didn't want to violate the IMSA team's testing schedule, so they made sure that, I think they even had to take off the Michelin. Anything that made people may think it's a current tire.
Yep.
So the captain got to drive his car, but he drove it with old tires and rain tires at that. So there wasn't. I think when I talked to Bruce Canepa, he said, it wasn't record-breaking lap times, but he got to drive it. Like I told him, I said, color me 100% jealous.
Yeah.
I would just love to sit in the thing. Being able to drive it on the track, that's definitely a bucket list thing.
All right, events. We've got some events coming up. Open house is September 13th. It is sold out, but we're looking forward to seeing everyone that did register coming out to HQ.
Rain or shine.
Rain or shine. And then Treffin at Sea happens August 30th through September 6th. Actually, we'll be doing that just before open house. And again, that is also sold out. So looking forward to seeing everyone on Princess Cruise. And then Unstock 2025, November 16th at Porsche Santa Clarita. Many of you that we saw at Werks Reunion, we hope that we'll see you at Unstock as well. Registration for that opens September 3rd.
And that's, I think we require 3 visual mods. So suspension counts if you have it lowered. Mm-hmm. You can tell a lowered car from a stock car.
Yep.
We're not super strict on the mods. Anything that makes your car different from stock. I even take exclusive options because they're rarely seen. But if you want to get parked inside, you got to have something super, super special.
Yeah.
And that's usually what's been the case with all our events, that we pick the coolest modified cars to bring inside.
It'll be a cool collection. Videos, I want to shout out to Damon and say thank you for, again, amidst all of this that we were just talking about, is he has to crank out a video the following Tuesday, and that was the Werks Reunion walk-around video.
And I feel bad because people want to talk to him, and he's trying to film the videos at the same time. So it makes it really tough when you know you got a list of cars you got to do B-roll on, and then people recognize you and they want to come up and talk to you.
Yeah, or Manny and I get engaged into a conversation. He's like, guys, we got to keep moving. We'll never get it done. But check it out. It's on YouTube right now, and it really does give a flavor for what Werks Reunion is. And I'm very proud of, if you look at the crowd shots, the diversity we have in the the ages and everything. It's an incredible event.
Yep.
All right. Those of you that are looking to race with fellow PCAers on sim racing, check out PCASimRacing.com. There's a couple races that are coming up. Event 7, I believe, and they have series events that you want to check out. There's a full calendar if you just head over to PCASimRacing.com.
I should say that event 7, I think you said that last time.
Oh.
This is the same graphic we've been using
Oh,
for
I'm
a couple
sorry.
of years. So
Oh, that's not an updated
it
one?
doesn't change.
Oh, it doesn't
but
change.
just go to PCASimRacing.com.
Thank you. All right. For those of you looking for insider swag, head over to PCA web store. We've got bottles, mugs, t-shirts and such that you can buy. But if you're just looking for PCA insider decals, send us your address information to podcast@pca.org. Again, send us your address to podcast@pca.org and we'll send you some insider decals. All right. With that, anything else before we close it out? Manny, Damon?
Nope. Another successful Monterey Car Week.
It was great seeing everyone, but there's no rest for us, no ability to use our comp time because we got some stuff to knock out in the next couple of weeks here, and we look forward to seeing you all at the upcoming events. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and consider sharing our show with fellow Porsche enthusiasts. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.